welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video, I'm going to be going over and playing with the Glamlite Scooby Doo palette. So I have the palette here, as well as both lip kits and the blush, and then the highlighter from the first collection. So I thought it would be fun to just do a chill, laid back, testing this out. I've never tried anything from Glamlite before. I know you can no longer get your hands on these products, but I wanted to test them out and play with them on camera anyways. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Usually after my intro, I kind of just go over details and swatches, but since that's probably all over the internet now, I'm going to just scoot you in closer and we're gonna get started playing with these products. All right, so I do already have my base makeup on. Everything that I'm wearing is always listed down in the description box below. I think that I'm gonna start with eyes today, just because if I do the blush first and it looks weird, it's gonna distract me while doing the eyes. So here is what the palette looks like. It is very large, it is very colorful, two things I don't normally go for. However, it got me with Scooby Doo. I just had to get it. It's very nostalgic, very childhood for me. I'm one of 5 kids and all of us loved Scooby Doo growing up, and we kind of all fit each individual character perfectly. So that's why I just love it so much, and I had to get it. It reminds me of my siblings and I love them. So I'm just deciding what I want to do. I think I'm gonna do one look on each eye, just since I didn't do swatches. It shouldn't make the video too long. I'm holding it up here. I do wish, I think a lot of people said this, that they did the characters going vertically instead of horizontally. So I believe that this is Scooby, Shaggy, Daphne, Velma, Fred. And I do wanna stick to each row here and do like one character on each eye. So I'm thinking that maybe I'm gonna do Shaggy on one eye and then Daphne on the other. That's, I think, where I'm going. I kind of was leaning towards this one, but the browns are throwing me off. It kind of, I get why they did a brown to have like something neutral in here, but it doesn't really go with like these teals. I don't know. I get it, but also doing the look was kind of weird. So I'm just gonna start. I think we'll do the green first and purple second. There's no shade names on this palette, so I'm just gonna kind of describe which shade it is. So first, going into the lightest green matte, I'm gonna keep these pretty simple. I'm a simple look person, so even though I'm using color, I'm gonna use it how I would normally if I wasn't doing a video. And I'm just gonna throw this in the crease with a very small, kind of fluffy blending brush. I don't want this too high because I am gonna blend it out. And while there is color to this, I don't want it to just be like bam color. I feel like the green is probably the most neutral, which is why I wanted to use it. And just if you're also someone who maybe isn't all about color like myself, you can see a way to tone down this palette or just see a character that maybe isn't just like bright blue. So now that I kind of have this laid down, I'm going to take the medium matte green and I'm gonna use the same brush and deepen up the outer corner just a little bit. Now, like I said in the intro, I've never bought anything from Glamlite. When they were doing their food theme palettes, I wasn't really attracted to that. That wasn't really something that I found just appealed to me. Now that they're doing more collabs, they've definitely grabbed my interest more. So I might purchase stuff from them go forward. I try not to purchase something just because it's a collab and I like it. I did, really consider getting the Chucky palette. However, it just was way too dark. I knew that I wouldn't get any use out of it. I'll make an exception if I love the collaborator, but for Chucky, I was okay passing it. Now that kind of took over, this is blending really nice. And I did put down eyeshadow primer, just so you're aware. I have my Smashbox eyeshadow primer. I'm going to go back into that light green and just blend out the edges, just so you can kind of see that. light green a little bit more. And then now that I have the mattes, I'm going to take just a big fluffy brush and further diffuse it. But going back to the Chucky palette, it just was really, really dark and grungy. I'm excited to see what they do for Scream, but I'm not going to hold myself to it if the color story doesn't speak to me. So we'll just have to wait and see what it looks like. I will say though, just like a gripe of mine, this took like a comically long time to ship. I think that it took 6 weeks before it even shipped to me. And while that's fine, as long as they, you know, say that up front, they didn't say that up front. They said maximum, I believe, was going to be 4 weeks. And it was way longer than that. So I just wish that they had been a little bit more clear. I know that they're a small brand and I know that, you know, they probably sold more than they were expecting, but a little communication never hurt anyone. Here are what the mattes are looking like so far. I don't hate it for being color. I am now gonna just use my fingers, I think, for the shimmers. There is a very deep dark matte green. I'm gonna use that as liner, but first I'm gonna take the darker of the two greens and do that like halfway down my eye, which is a little bit more of like a teal, I think, than a green. It's still really pretty, and there's no fallout whatsoever, so that is nice. Even though I am using an eye primer. And then I'm going to take the very bright green right here, and I'm going to put that in the inner part. Kind of make sure that I meld those two together. Like I said, super easy, simple look. Anyone I think could do it. Easy peasy. Just finish off the lash line. I'm gonna do that medium green very, very lightly underneath. And then same brush. I've used this brush the entire time other than my fingers. I'm gonna take the light green and just run that underneath. Make sure it's connected. Perfect. And then for the lower lash line, I'm just gonna take the deepest matte, and I don't like too much definition. I just want my lash line to look a little bit more full. And I will put that just right here as well, just to deepen that up. So here is what the shaggy look is so far. I'm gonna do mascara at the end, but let's start with Daphne. The purple look, or Daphne, I'm gonna take the first lightest matte. This is gonna be very similar. I'm gonna place it a little bit lower in the crease because I am gonna blend out this purple with the warmer tone purple. So I kind of just want to place this right like that. And then I'm gonna take the more fuchsia and go right over it to blend it out. And this is very pigmented. Again, no fallout, but I'm kind of just like placing it and then swiping to blend. And I'm gonna use just my clean blending brush to diffuse it more. Going back in to that very first lighter purple, I kind of just want to make sure you can see it. And then now I'm gonna take my clean brush, just kind of diffuse it up. Now that I have it diffused, I'm gonna go into the deepest matte, and I'm gonna go into the outer corner here instead of lining this time. And this purple is more of a blue-based purple. And again, I'm kind of pressing and then bringing it over. All right, so right off the bat here, like you can see, I know purples are notoriously hard to make, but you can kind of see just how much more patchy it is than the green side. And granted, that could be some user error, but I'm gonna go back into that warm purple and kind of try to just like bring back that blend a little and almost patch up the holes, because I feel like that deep dark purple kind of just left it patchy, and I'm fine with that on the lid because I'm going to put the shimmer over it, but right here, like in this corner, is bothering me, and I just wanted to point that out. But it actually does not seem like it was too hard to fix. It looks a little bit better now. Going into the shimmers again, so here's the darker purple, very pretty, kind of like a, it's still warm tone, but a little bit right smack dab in the middle, I think, of being a warm and a cool tone purple. It's got a little bit of cool, but it's still primarily warm. This is my favorite kind of purple. I'm gonna put that on the outer half of the lid and make sure I'm just kind of covering up that patchiness. And then going into the lightest purple, which is definitely more cool toned. You can see then compared to this one. Putting that on the inner half. Now that I have the shimmers down, I'm gonna take the very light purple matte and I'm gonna really just try to stamp it and put it as close to the lash line as possible, because I want to basically do the same thing I did in the crease and put the lighter purple with the more magenta shade blending it out. And I don't want too much pigment. So now that I have that going into magenta, just trying to be very careful to not let this get out of hand. I kind of like it with more of the cool tone. We'll see what happens with the magenta. Again, I'm going to line the top lash line with the deepest, darkest matte, just for a little bit more definition on the top lash line. I might be making a huge mistake, but I feel like I'm missing something on the inner corners here. So I'm gonna go into the light gold that's in the Scooby row, and I'm gonna pop that in the inner corner on both sides, I think. Hopefully this doesn't mess it up too much, because I'm actually liking how both of these look quite a bit, even though I'm not super into color. I think it's okay. I don't think it's too much. It's not a very bright in your face shimmer. I think it's just enough. So here is the Daphne side and the Shaggy side. I'm gonna go apply mascara, come back, and we will play with the cheek, the blush duo, and the lips. Mascara is on, so here are both of the finished looks. I quite like them both, actually. Even though I don't do a lot of color, I cannot stress that enough. I'm a very much a neutral girl. But now let's go in with the little blush duo. I think it's so cute. It's so cute. I'm hoping this is not as pigmented, but let's just see. I'll just do one on each side and then kind of mix it up. But I'm gonna start with the pink. It is quite coming up on my brush here. I am not going to apply bronzer today, just so we can see the true color of the blush. I'm gonna do pink on this side. This is a very wispy brush, only because I was a little bit nervous about the pigment. And it is bright. It's actually brighter than it's looking in the viewfinder. I don't necessarily love this, but that's okay. It's very powdery. It's very hard pressed, and like where you put it, it really sticks. I did powder my face. I kind of just have to stipple it, even though this is a stippling brush. Very interesting. I don't have too many blushes like this where it really just stays where you put it, especially if I've powdered. And it just kind of feels a little bit flat. I like a matte blush, but this is a little bit too matte for me. It's not, there's just no dimension to it. I do like it, but there needs to be something more. Let's do the other side with the more orangey. I'm gonna go into the same brush. That's bright. This doesn't go together at all. I'm feeling like a little Joker-ish right now. The Joker, no, is it the Riddle? The Riddle is purple and green, right? Okay, well, it's okay because you can wash it off. The orange is much more pigmented than the pink. I think that that is quite apparent. I am a little bit shocked. I'm gonna go in with my powder brush and just tap over this. Now that I've powdered this down, it looks a lot more wearable. I think because the orange red is a lot more pigmented, I'm just gonna even it out on this side, just so it somewhat looks the same. Both sides aren't completely matching, but it's as good as it's gonna get. Don't know if I love the blush as much as the eyeshadow, but that's all right. Now I'm gonna go into the highlighter palette. So this actually came out for their first collaboration with Scooby Doo, and this was the only thing I picked up. The eyeshadow palette was just so dark and grungy. I couldn't bring myself to get it, but I figured I had to get something to commiserate Scooby Doo, so I ended up picking this up, and I'm glad that they came out with round 2 because I think that the round 2 is so much better just overall. But I figured since I have this, I will use it today, and I'm gonna go into this first one, which is kind of more pinky purple. It looks like they're both flashing green, which they are, but this one has a little bit more pink purple iridescence. So I'm just gonna apply it. It does look very glittery, and this is not like a highlight I would use on the everyday. This is definitely more of just something I have for packaging. But maybe we can kind of bring that blush a little bit to life because it's just looking so flat. It is pretty. Still wouldn't wear it every day, but I will say it's a pretty highlight. I could definitely see myself using this as a single shadow. Very glittery. Definitely glittery. Not usually my style, but for today it's fine. Now that I have all that done, I'm gonna put my glasses on. We're gonna play with lips because I have both lip kits. So I have the Daphne lip kit and the Velma. I'm not gonna swatch both of them on my lips, but let me just at least swatch it on the back of my hand here and kind of decide what direction I want to go in, even though this look is not cohesive at all. So here's the Daphne lip kit, and then here is the Velma. I like the Daphne gloss, but I like the Velma lipstick. It's just a little bit more nude. Maybe I can use both. I can kind of use that as like a lip liner. We'll try that. I think I could do that. I'm gonna kind of flip it on its side and use it kind of just to outline. It's very warm toned. It's not perfect, but I feel like this whole look is just doing its thing. So now, now I'm gonna take the Daphne and kind of put it on the center. It's very, I've never tried Glamlite's lip formula. I haven't tried anything from Glamlite, I've already said that. But this lipstick's very stiff and very matte. I kind of like more of a cream lipstick that has a little bit of shine. If it's a matte, I want it to be like a liquid lipstick matte that I can kind of fluff out. This doesn't look bad. I mean, my application's not good, but it's just very thick. And I don't think it's very flattering on my lips. I think it kind of emphasizes my lines a lot. Color could be worse, but my lips just feel not comfortable. Let me try the gloss. I'm gonna do the Velma gloss because that's just more neutral. Maybe try and bring some life back to my lips. The lip gloss is nice. That definitely helped. I was a little bit worried there for a second because it felt so thick on my lips. I did not like that at all. But now that I've tried everything out, I'm looking a little crazy, but I'm gonna just clean up my lip line just a little bit, scoot you out, and we'll go over my final thoughts. I feel so much better now that I kind of just cleaned this up. I do like the end look for the lipstick, but I do have to say that these are probably my least favorite of everything that I got. Specifically the lipstick formula, I just said it just feels really thick on the lips. The lip glosses are pretty, not necessarily my style. I don't go for a very glitter heavy lip gloss, but I think it fits the theme and I'm not like upset that I have it. I do like that the imprint is on the bullet and on here, like it kind of matches because I don't necessarily love to keep packaging. And I was really debating whether I was going to keep the box or throw it away. And since it is on the actual component, I will probably throw it away just so I'm not keeping clutter. After that, I'm just going to go, I think, least favorite to favorite. Let's do that. I think is the blush. This is my favorite packaging for sure, but it's very pigmented and it's just so matte. I typically prefer a more matte blush, but this just has no dimension. It has nothing to it. It's so flat. The highlight's there, so there's something there now, but it's just the mixture between the two of it being so pigmented, hard to blend, and so flat. It's not my favorite. I do think it matches the theme, again, really well. The coral is very bright. The pink is a little bit better. And once I blended it out, it was okay. I mean, I took it down a little bit far, but that's me, not the blush. So this is just not my favorite. After that, the highlight actually kind of surprised me. I like this more than I thought I would. I'm not going to use it as a typical highlight, but as a single, I actually think that this won't just sit there collecting dust in my collection like I kind of thought. I thought this would just be something that sits there. I look at it and I'm like, oh, Scooby Doo, great. I really love the packaging and never use the product inside. But now that I've used it, I think I actually will use this and pull it out as just like an iridescent shadow every now and again. I don't have very many out of these world, you know, iridescent duochrome highlights. I have mostly only traditional highlighters. So I am happy to just have something in my collection that's a little bit different. And hands down, my favorite is the eyeshadow palette. I'm really impressed. This surpassed my expectations for Glamlite, just trying out their formula for the first time. Everything was pretty easy to blend. Everything stuck really well. I had zero fallout with the mattes or the shimmers. As you saw, the only problem I had was with the deepest, darkest purple, this one here. Granted, I only used this row and this green row, and then this shade is an inner corner, so I can't speak on all of them, but I do know that purple is the hardest to make with pigment, and I feel like I was able to remedy the issue pretty quickly and easily. I'm not an expert or a connoisseur when it comes to eyeshadow application. I did very simple, easy looks, and I think that it looks like something special. So I'm glad that I got this. I also thought, like the highlighter palette, this was going to be something that just kind of sat in my collection, taking up space, that I mostly bought for the packaging. But I do think that I'll reach into this every now and again when I want something a little bit more colorful. I don't have too much like this in my collection, so I'm decently happy about this palette, much more than I thought. and I'm very happy with the quality. If this speaks to any of Glamlite's just formula for past products, future products, I'm definitely much more intrigued and more likely to buy their collections in the future. I am very interested to see what they do for Scream. I know it's coming out in the fall, so we have a little bit of time to catch up. But I'm excited. You'll have to let me know down below in the comments if you picked up this collection. I know that it's no longer available, and I'm telling you right now, if you didn't pick this collection up, it is not special enough for you to spend like over $100 on a palette. Do not pay the extra reselling price to people who are reselling these for exorbitant amount of money. It's not that great. Like, go buy a Scooby Doo little stuffed animal if you need it, but it is very nice. Let me know if you picked it up down below, if you like it as much as I did. And that's all that I have for you today. Thanks for sticking around, playing with some makeup with me, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.